So we'll get started, Director.
Okay.
It's hot and we don't want people to start getting cranky. We're going to go ahead and get started. Michael, if you could take the roll, please.
Ms. Butts?
Here.
Ms. Shakarian?
Here.
Mr. Corrigan?
Here.
And Ms. Rodriguez?
Here. The first order of business is approval of the minutes of the Joint Finance and Human Resource Committee meeting of 5/14/2024 and the regular board meeting of 5/16/2024. If there's no omissions or additions, I move for adoption.
So moved.
Ms.
Second.
Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes. 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 The first order of business is we have a presentation of the outreach and programming services for 2024. So excited. Who's going? Oh, there we are. Yeah, they're right here.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Isabel Rue. I'm the Community Outreach Manager in our Outreach and Programming Services Department. I'm going to kick things off. You can go to the next slide, please. And I'll be joined by Jacqueline Lamb after this. So next one, please. Okay, so I have a very exciting program I wanted to share with you. This is a preview of what is coming later this summer. It is our On the Road to Reading Early Literacy Outreach Van. So that's a grant-funded program that I've been working on along with Ops Early Literacy Associate Maggie Lawrence, who's here today too. So we've been using the funds to purchase a Mercedes Sprinter van, which is currently living over at our Lakeshore facility. The van is, just to give you kind of an update on where we are with it, we're in the process of getting it wrapped. So this is the beautiful design that our own marketing team put together. On the Road to Reading, it says Play, Learn, Grow. It has the library logo and the website on the back. We are in the process of getting it outfit with shelving and mobile carts. So the van won't be able to take people on board the van like a large scale bookmobile, but the model is that we're going to take materials off the van really easily with the ramp. We'll be able to have a tent on board, do all kinds of pop-up events outside and in community spaces. So Maggie is working on curriculum development for the program. We're planning some author engagement events for August through December. And our anticipated launch date for the van is going to be at our Huff Block party on August 2nd. So that's when we're hoping to bring it there. We're going to have the road closed and we'll be able to show off this new service. So in the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about what the van, what services it'll provide. So in the spirit, of closing gaps in Cleveland and meeting that kindergarten readiness priority, the van will support early literacy needs in the community. So taking all the amazing services we do in the library and taking them out to events, to daycare centers, schools. So we kind of have this three-prong model. One of them will be having 12-week-long courses in daycares and preschools where we'll model early literacy best practices to caregivers so they can share those skills over many, many years. So it's all about empowering caregivers and parents to, be their child's first teacher, get them ready to read. We'll also be doing lobby stops in various settings. Maggie has already started to do this in some of our WIC offices, so meeting people where they are in spaces where they're just waiting and showing that we can incorporate literacy in everyday life. So that'll include WIC offices, pediatric settings, expanding to laundromats, barber shops, and other sites in Cleveland. And then we'll also have it be a one-stop shop for the library at community events. So things like Parade the Circle, we were just there a couple of weeks ago. There's Maggie popping up, doing a story time. So we kind of have this outdoor living room concept where we want to bring all the books outside, create these cozy spaces where people can read with their families. We can do story times, also do card signups and connect them with what's going on in our library branches as well.
Will you be doing like Will there be a calendar where you're going to be at?
Yeah, so we're working with our marketing team to kind of figure out the tech behind that. But yes, definitely for the community events that are open to the public, we want to let people know where they can find us. We'll also have during the school year, like I mentioned, we'll be at set daycares. We're going to select about 8 to 10 each kind of semester, where we'll be doing these ongoing engagement events at those schools. And then, yeah, we can definitely share about the WIC offices as well. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we want to be as transparent as possible and also have a way that they can reach us. So if someone has an event they want the van to come to, we can see if we can accommodate that.
The child care facilities that you mentioned you'll go to each semester, is there a process on how you plan to identify which one?
Yeah, so we're still defining that, but our priority, like I said, is to fill gaps. So one of the priorities is going to be reaching areas where we currently have branches that are closed for renovation. So we would like to, for example, be more present in the Waltz community, the Glenville community during the times that those branches are closed. We also want to prioritize 1 to 3 star rated daycares and preschools. So ones where they have more of a need, where they may not have caregivers who are, have a lot of experience with early literacy techniques.
I appreciate you honing on that because that's so related to our strategic plan and looking at how we can impact early literacy. And so that's very, very cool.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Anything else on the road to reading? All right. And then finally, the Outreach and Programming Services Department, we also coordinate our partnership with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. So just one more thing to add in that spirit of bridging the gaps, one of those priorities is having access to food. So we do Kids Cafe, as you've probably heard, during the school year, where after school we provide free meals through the food bank to all of our open locations. In the summer, that just pivots to what's called the summer feeding program. So the time is a little bit different and branches can kind of customize that to when they see the most kids coming into their locations. But it's a wonderful program to provide food for kids during the times where they're not in school and may not have access to school lunches. And then we've also been really excited this year to be able to kind of combine that with our summer reading program, Cleveland Reads, and have the meals be sort of before, after some of the educational programs that we're doing as part of that program, which is a great segue to Jacqueline's presentation on Cleveland Reads. But I just want to pause in case there were any questions about that. All right, thank you.
Hi. Well, we kicked off our Cleveland Read Summer Program last week, and it was a success. I think I was able to actually go out and see some of the programs, and I'm very proud of what I'm seeing. We have really invested and spent a lot of time in our youth services staff during our in-person meetings to ensure that they had all the tools that they need to truly be able to wrap around the children that show up in their branches. And so the program started on last Monday, and I'm proud to say that we had slight number behind, about 299 scholars participate on Tuesday and Thursday. We've seen our biggest numbers in kindergarten through 8th grade, which I'm very proud of because we know that CMSD cannot support scholars from 5th through 8th grade. So knowing that we're getting those scholars in the door and we're supporting them is very, very great. And I think our impact is going well because our programs last week were all around vocabulary. It was around self-expression. I actually brought some examples of what we did last week. They're in my bag, but I could show you all. But I thought the programs were great. It was an introduction week. So this was an introduction to for the scholars to get to know each other, but also get to know the facilitators that will be bringing programs to them every week. And so I'm very grateful for that. We also are a little over 2,000 scholars registered for the program. We already got over 4,500 books read. We have over 3,000 badges completed. So I think that it's going well. Also, we made sure to include family space in 0 to 3 read to me because we wanted to make sure that 0 to 5 range was able to be a part of what we had going on. And so we've seen over 57 families show up to 0 to 3 read to me last week and to gain points for that. And then also at our family space sites as well. And so I think we have a great comprehensive program. It seems as if they are extremely excited. They're writing in the chat, they're expressing, that they got scholars to show up, and they're really happy. And so I think that is always a win when we look at our young, especially our youth services staff, that they are actually invested in wanting to do this great work for our young people.
Well, I think we want to see what's in your bag.
I can grab. Oh, matter of fact, I just realized I left my laptop bag upstairs. I'm so sorry. But first, the next slide is going to the lessons. So every lesson that we have is connected to the Ohio State SEL standards, social emotional learning standards, because that's really what our theme is touching on this summer, is making sure that we build the capacity of our young people in social emotional learning and literacy. And so last week, our program was all around acrostic poetry. And so it was so awesome. I went to Union, and this young woman, her name was Harper. And she was so proud to tell you what she thought her name meant to her, right? And she said her H was helpful, her A was amazing. And it was so great to see them describe themselves in that way. And they had to present it to their peers, and they were proud. They stood up, they showed, what they did. So I'm very, very happy about what they're actually leaving and gaining. And in our lesson plans, our committee, they actually put down, what did they want children to walk away with? That was one of the biggest things in our lesson. What's the goal? And so I think that helps with the buy-in for actually doing this work with fidelity. So and all our programs are differentiated. We had a 9th grader at 2 of the programs I went to, and I asked her, I said, tell me, was it too kiddie-ish? Did you enjoy yourself? And she was like, no, this was fun. I love stickers. I'm like, oh, okay, good. So we're able to see a range of young people from 3 years old all the way to 9th grade. They're enjoying the programs. And so I'm very proud of the Cleveland Reads Program Committee who put all of these things together. Yes.
Right, and I apologize if I should have known this.
That's okay.
Because it's not the first time Cleveland Reads it's every summer. Is it a rolling enrollment? Like if a family missed in the beginning?
Yes,
they can still join?
definitely.
Okay.
Yes, they will continue to enroll. Today, I try to send a chat out on Tuesdays before we begin program, and we just remind them to register. And they need the half sheets, so I just reached out to marketing to get more half sheets out for registration. So yes, they know we will continue, and we'll have a cumulative number at the end to see how many scholars participated. But then it's going to be great to not only see how many scholars participated, but see how we were able to support them. Like, what did they walk away with? And I think that's important for us to have these in-person programs and for them to be able to get points and gain support in that way. So yes,
Thank you.
no problem. And then our next slide is also our challenge. Our challenge is differentiated, right? We wanted to make sure that not only our scholars just read books, but this is a challenge that truly allows everybody to participate. Again, our 0 to 5, they can go to family space and gain points. They can go to 0 to 3 and gain points. But even our teams, right? We wanted to make sure that we allowed them to participate in a differentiated way. So if they go to Studio 525, they get points. If they go to the Best Buy Teen Tech Center, right? So we wanted to make sure that we differentiated this program that met the needs of all of our young people so that we can see them come in and be a part of the work that we're doing. And then the final slide, I believe. So say yes. I'm so excited. I got to go out again to programs, and I got to see Say Yes. They are in our branches providing services to scholars and families to continue services. They do this all year, right? But us being a partner with them allows for them those services not to stop. So families can still gain the support that they need, but they're coming to the library to get that. And I was just so excited to go out and see them last week. They have signs up, they have tablecloths to let families know. They are sitting in the middle of branches, letting families know they are there and supporting them. Not only our scholars, they're making sure we get families in our programs, but they're also helping our adult patrons as well with resources. And I couldn't be more excited. And they'll be with us Monday through Thursday from 10 to 4. And there's 2 staff at each library's campus that's open. And then also, I just want to say we also hired, thanks to HR, we were able to get some summer youth assistants. And we have 3 of them. And these are educators. These are teachers who work during the year, and they're off in the summer. So they're in our branches, and they are providing additional support in the locations that we see a uptick of numbers. And I actually met with them yesterday. I have weekly meetings with them, and they're enjoying it. They're loving it. They always wanted to work at the library, but never had like an in. And this is a way for them to participate. And they're very impressed with what we're doing. And they're also giving support to our youth services staff, letting them know, what some best practices that they can share with them from their classroom setting. So I think it's a great reciprocal relationship. So
Which campuses are you focused on for those?
yeah, so we're at Rice
Okay.
because Harvey Rice School is a summer site. So we wanted to make sure we provided extra support there. And then Carnegie West, Helen, our wonderful children's librarian there, she sees so many daycares and camps and things like that. So we wanted to make sure we provided support there, and also family spaces there. So it allows that person to also support in that way. And then we also have them at Collinwood, giving additional support there as well.
Nice.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted you all to know that the people who do social work and library, they like doing their work, but they chafe at the bureaucracy. And the Say Yes people are both, they're at the few schools that are open, they're at rec centers, and they're at our libraries. And when they got to our libraries, there were signs up welcoming them. And they felt real impressed, and I was very proud of the library fit. So I just want to let you know.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
What was that?
Oh, go ahead, Marina.
Stephanie did there and like shake your head. Okay, now you make them up. That was very good.
Thank you.
No, that was good. That was good. I just love how you did that.
Hi.
She's going to want a union card for that.
I'm gonna raise it. Sorry. Here we go. I know. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everyone, for having me here. And I will say, yesterday I was at the Woodland branch and was able to see and meet the Say Yes coordinators, and the Young Scholars program was happening there at the same time. So it was a win-win. So
Yep.
it was great. So I am going to share with you an update on the satellite locations. So we have, as you know, our shipping containers that are our book boxes, and they function as libraries. We check out materials, we sign residents up for library cards, and we also provide programming at these boxes. And what's really special about each of the satellite locations is that the programming is really coming from the community, working with our community development corporations, the metro parks, and University Circle Incorporated, as well as Midtown and Asiatown, to come up with the programming that the community wants. So as you can see, Asiatown Art Box, we have hours once a month, Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, because that is what the community wanted. So we are there in the evenings on July 9th and 11th, August 6th and 8th, and September 3rd and 5th. And on Saturdays, we're there from 10 to 2. And then and it's going to be from June 1st when we opened at the Art Box until October 5th. And then Edgewater Beach Book Box, we're there Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 12:30 to 5:30. And their traditional Edgewater Live program is now called Thursday Happy Hour Concerts, which I'm not a big fan of personally.
So you gotta walk there or bike there
yeah.
and try driving.
Yeah, no. So we will be open for those once a month at the last Thursday, or the last Thursday of each month. So for those evening concert series. And then Wade Oval Wednesday, we're there for Wade Oval Wednesdays every Wednesday, 5:30 to 8:30. In addition, they have the Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's family engagement. So yes.
With the entities that you are like coordinating with and partnering with that help with these, like I think about the Asiatown Art Box, and working with Agetown and Midtown or Edgewater Beach, I know it's more so the metro parks and not like Northwest
Mhm.
neighborhoods. How do they provide support at the satellite locations themselves, or is it just Cleveland Public Library staff? And when I think about for specific like the Agetown Art Box with like the linguistic needs of the community that's
Mhm.
there, how is that managed for a location like that?
So what's great about Asiatown and Midtown, they do have staff that have helped out for the opening event to translate, because we had for the opening on June 1st at the Art Box, we had many things happening. We had a Fix-It workshop, which was very popular in that community because of their many cyclists from all ages who need their bikes tuned and repaired. But it's an island there, so they stay within that community. So they brought their bikes. They had a parade of, the families parading down Payne Avenue. And then the staff person from Midtown who speaks Chinese was able to translate. They're not there every Saturday or that we're there, but we've been managing and using our translation app, to communicate. But there is a need. There's definitely a need, and we are hoping to really grow that and fulfill that translation piece and getting staff there.
You still have things going on at Westside Market?
Mhm.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So yeah, this is the West Side Market stand.
Oh, this is.
Mhm. And but we are, back to answering your question, we are also providing programming, library programming, in addition to tapping in and leveraging our partnerships with like PBS, Idea Stream, bringing their programming there, and it's at no cost to the library, so we're really connecting with those partners that can bring those quality programs and help us deliver them at those boxes.
Thank
you.
Marina, one quick question, and I'm
Yes.
sorry. At the 3 locations, are you keeping or including that in the numbers that we get when for our community service report?
Oh,
Are
yes.
the number of people that are checking out materials
Yes,
and
everything-
utilizing it?
Mhm, everything's tracked. Well, checking out materials is a little tricky. That's something we have. The materials are coming from the locations that we are pulling. So for example, we'll pull like Chinese language materials from international languages, and they're checked out to the box. But then when a patron checks out that item, it's really coming from international languages. So it's not coming from the boxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I was just
So-
wondering if it was going to be included, just to see
It would
where
be-
we're at.
That would be a conversation that I would like to explore for next year and
course.
see if we can create these boxes as possibly a location for those materials to be checked out from,
Mhm.
and that we can actually track the statistics on.
Just to see what's going, because I know you're
Mhm.
busy, and I've been to the West Side Market,
Oh, yeah.
You see me there, so
Yes,
that's
yeah.
why I know it is there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was.
Well,
just
we're keeping track of those numbers of the free books, because in addition to all of the materials that we do check out at the boxes, for everything that, if a patron signs up for any program, because we're promoting all of our programs throughout the whole system. So when patrons sign up for a program, they get an option to shop for free books. So we have those free books on hand, which they absolutely love. And they leave, with 2 bags filled with
Yeah.
books, as you've seen at the West Side
Yeah,
Market.
yeah.
So, but we are keeping track of those numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be good
So-
to know.
And then, at the West Side Market, Fridays and Saturdays, we're there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I welcome all of you to pop in anytime. If just to connect with the community, it's wonderful. It's a great experience. Staff will tell you, it's just so rewarding. And then we have some pop-up events that were happening at the market. June 29th, we're going to close Pride Month at the market with an event, for a pop-up event with some of our partners in the community, in the Pride community, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And September 22nd, we will be having a Books at the Market anniversary pop-up event, because last year, that's when we launched our stand at the market. So, and that's in partnership with
We're paying for this.
Literary Cleveland. So they'll be ending their conference here, Incubator Conference, And that Sunday, we'll be transitioning into the Annisfield Wolf Book Award Week. So, yeah, so it's a nice, happy transition in the two big programs that are happening those 2 weeks.
Wow, awesome.
And then the Fix It workshops, we kicked it off June 1st at the Art Box. Again, it's a very popular program. We had bike mechanics. These are all volunteer coaches, by the way. It's very modeled after the People's University concept that the director had shared initially, bringing all of the coaches volunteer coaches that are electricians, bike mechanics, sewists, I mean, you name it. They come in, they help and teach patrons how to repair broken items. And the patrons leave with a new skill learned. And it's also part of the City of Cleveland's circular economy, keeping items out of the landfill and repairing. And we have a tool library too. The tool library, we use this tool library at each Fix It. And the tool library was donated to us from the Cuyahoga Solid Waste District.
Oh, really?
And so the volunteer coaches, they don't have to bring in their tools. They still like to, but we have the tools there for them to check out, to use, to repair the items.
So how many volunteers are involved with this?
We have a list, and we just put a call out and ask them,
Marina, you-
and they show up.
That's awesome.
So. And then the programming, this is a glimpse of what we're providing at the boxes. We are fortunate to be partnering with Tiffany's team, Arts and Culture, to have an arts intern. And the art intern is providing an altered book workshop.
What does that mean, all
so-
people?
I know, it's like scary, right? No, so the altered book workshop. So we had a lot of books that were damaged when they were delivered from the donation. And so typically we would throw them out or recycle them. So we held on to them and they were damaged by the forklifts. So we can't give them out. We can't give them away. And so we ended up deciding to upcycle them and transform these books into art. And so the community, she's working on, her name is Grace
Oh.
Prichnicki, and she's working with the community, and it's a drop-in workshop. And so it was really lovely because at Wade Oval, she's providing them at each location. And the family engagement piece, the parents sitting with the kids, altering these books and turning them into art is really it's been so much fun.
Really
So, and and she's teaching techniques, like art techniques, and from like painting to even the writing component, doing blackout poetry. So it's really wonderful, the work that she's going to be doing with the families. And then we have the art cart. There's a local artist in Asiatown who has an art cart, and he pops up on Thursday evenings at the Art Box and does some art programming
At the
with the.
digital one.
Yep. Mhm. And then Children's Day, we had Children's Day. We kicked off on June 1st. Go ahead.
So wrap it up.
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. And then we had the Fix It workshops, pop up, take and make that PBS Idea Stream is providing.
Nice.
And it's part of the 360 program through the state education department. And seed libraries we have, very popular. And then the Trash Tote Days, which is the Ohio State Extension that's providing that. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Marina. You're awesome.
Thanks, everyone. It's so nice to see you. It's really amazing to see all of the collaboration happening across these departments and then also with community partners. And so I'm just going to give a couple quick updates on some work that we have going on this summer related to arts and culture. Rebecca Louise Law is coming back into town. We not only extended her exhibit through August 3rd, but Rebecca is coming into town July 9th and 10th. She'll be doing a community art making workshop at the Asiatown Art Box. During that 4 to 8 p.m. session. It'll be a drop-in art making workshop with natural materials. So we're really excited to put the artist with the community and give them the chance to learn directly from her. And then July 10th, we've got a public program with Rebecca here at Maine. Our friends from Land Studio are here to talk about next year's contract. But they had a video made when Rebecca did the installation last year. It's about a 10-minute documentary of the making of the exhibit. This will be the first time that this is shown publicly. So July 10th, we will show that video, and then I will be doing an interview with her in the LSW auditorium to talk about the importance of art in public spaces and art in libraries and what her experience working with this community has been like. Shanice may talk about this later, but there's also a reception invite only for VIPs, who we would consider you all, to talk about her work and ways that folks can get involved in supporting the arts at the library. And so we hope you're able to join us at 5 o'clock before this program. I'm excited for the chance to get her potential donors to see our work and impact in real life right after that. So we've got that coming up next month. And then if we go to the next slide.
Tiffany, real
Yes.
quick, are we going to blast that out? Because this has been such a popular exhibit that potential donors are the people that came and saw this that didn't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great opportunity for fundraising. I'm sure Shanice is all over that.
We are simpatico on that one.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's great. And I'm glad to have you thinking about that, because I think what we see across programs that the entire library does is our eyes are all bigger than our stomachs. We all want to do as much as we can. And so how are we raising additional resources to help pull those projects off? I think partnership is really a big theme of everything we've heard from everybody. And we're collaborating with the Border Light Festival, which is a fringe theater festival in Playhouse Square in July. And they have an amazing performer who you may recognize from a variety of television shows or the Wonka movie, or maybe you're a huge lover of historical fiction and read The Secret Diaries of Charles Ignatius Sancho. Patterson Joseph is coming. He's sort of kicking off and closing the Border Light Festival. And in addition, he is doing a series of workshops with us, which I'm really, really excited about, to collaborate with Literary Cleveland and Border Light to do this. He wrote this beautiful historical fiction novel about a real life person, but imagined his emotional state and so on. But he was born an enslaved person in the Caribbean and traveled to the United Kingdom, where he became a leader of the abolitionist movement. And so, and an author and a musician. And we are having Patterson do a 2-part workshop. The first part is virtual. The second part is in person during the Border Light Festival, talking about how do you create historical fiction and how can libraries support your role in doing that work. We're going to be offering this in collaboration with Literary Cleveland, who already has a huge audience of authors who they're looking at doing programming with. And so there's a gap in the offerings that they have where they're not offering historical fiction. And so we're glad to be able to offer that to people locally, but also with the virtual option to sort of throw the doors open wider and cast a broader net to a larger audience for folks to know sort of who the Cleveland Public Library is and how they can access us and sort of what we're doing to connect people to artists and creative thinkers. So those are some summer programs. I just want to let you all know we're at the threshold of 95,000 visitors to the archive. Thank you to all of you.
5,000 potential donors.
Yeah, so 100,000 had been sort of a stretch goal, and I think with the extension, we're definitely on pace to be meeting that goal. We're
Nice.
really excited.
Thank you.
Thank you for the chance to get to do this. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
how does that compare to traffic for previous exhibits?
Like with the Front Festival. So we specifically have numbers only going back to about 2021, 20 or so in that space, but we're at about, for the same time period, it's between triple and quadruple the visitors to folks who came to the Front Festival. We also just finished our 3rd round of Sundays, which thank you to Stephanie and to all of the managers and SPS officers and custodians and everybody else who's opening the library on Sundays from 12 until 4 to bring more people through the doors. It's been amazing. We've had people from all over the world. We've had people making trips, maybe Northeast Ohioans who haven't been to the Cleveland Public Library in a long time, coming to the library because of this exhibit. We've had folks from Serbia who were visiting their family and said, well, while I'm in town, I need to make it to see this exhibit. So we've been really amazed by that. We have a guest book. We're actually at our third guest book, and we're going to be contributing those to the library's archive, just to sort of have a record of the experiences with this project.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
Is that it?
Thank you.
Okay.
While we're
Thanks.
transitioning to just a couple of things, I appreciate in everyone's presentation, always the focus on community responsiveness. So helpful to hear how there are formal ways to get data, but also in the previous report, whether it's, getting quick feedback from a scholar or a parent. So just appreciate everyone for that. No surprise. You always do that, but that really stood out to me today. Have we already done blog posts or spotlights about the teachers who will be working in the libraries or the Fix It Cleveland initiative? It just may be helpful to put a spotlight on those folks and how they're supporting others in the community. I think, I forget who it was, but when they shared about, this is true to our mission and this being really the People's University, that stood out, and I think it will be helpful to see that in writing. And then just super excited to hear more about Cleveland Reads as we progress through the summer, and not just look at the cumulative data, but perhaps how we're faring week or month by month, so that you all can get smart insights on what's working or not real time in the short term.
Good afternoon, trustees. So as you know, part of our marketing plan is to tell stories. And so for each of the initiatives for the strategic plan, we are working to collect, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended, a library of stories, images, and quotes to be able to support the different initiatives like Cleveland Reads. So we've been talking to Jacqueline about perhaps identifying a really dedicated student or a teacher is a great idea to be able to tell the story.
Thank you, Tana. Thank you, everyone. We don't have any communications at this time. The director, please.
I'll be brief here, but I did have a number of things I wanted to kind of mention. One thing that wasn't mentioned by Jacqueline was the opening of of Cleveland Reads. Now you got like too many things on your head, but for I know Trustee Parker was there, and there was over 1,000 people at the opening for Cleveland Reads, and it was a wonderful opening. So far, the archive being open on Sundays they've welcomed 261 guests. So, and every week it seems to get higher and higher, so that's increasing the number of people.
You're saying that 261 was just on Sundays?
No, the 3 Sundays so far. So
3 Sundays.
So yeah, the last one had 120 people at it. So people are getting to know that it's open on Sundays, and it's good for us to kind of gauge what does Sunday hours look like if we're able to open it.
What hours are those?
10 to
What
2.
hours?
Yeah, we're open 12 to 4 on Sunday. Yeah, and in front of you, you have an article about how to be of use, and Signal Cleveland worked with Neiman Lab to write this article about the community spelling bee that ultimately ended up being at the Sterling Library. And they mentioned the manager of that library. So Monica Rosinski's here, and I wanted her just to say a little bit about the idea and how they came about to doing the spelling bee. And as you can see, Margaret Bernstein and a whole slew of our partners that we work with all the time were a part of doing this spelling bee. So thank you, Monica, and congratulations.
I'm so glad all of you have the article. If you haven't had a chance to read it, it is excellence in community reporting. It just captured the essence of the central neighborhood and the volunteers that put this together. But starting with how the spelling bee started with Signal Cleveland, it was Lila Mills, who's the editor-in-chief of Signal Cleveland. Kelly Morris and Lakita Worley are the documenters and the listeners, and Najee Hall's the reporter. They wanted a space for Signal Cleveland to just have a presence so they could gather information from residents for their reporting. And then it's like, fine, Sterling, we're happy to have you. We set aside a couple tables in the adult area, and they had some flyers. From that, amongst themselves grew the idea of a spelling bee, because Miss Worley was in spelling bees when she was little, and Kelly Morris had a spelling bee in Glenville neighborhood at the festival, so they wanted to bring it to Sterling. So the first year, we just set the same tables, and the kids came and practiced every week. I mean, this is a testament to collaboration and commitment. Miss Worley no longer lives in the central neighborhood, but she took the bus every Tuesday to come, rain or shine, to practice the spelling words with the kids. So the first year, they wanted it at Friendly Inn, which is a wonderful organization, but a little far for our kids to go. And they were doing it from 5th to 8th graders. And by that time, kids are sort of aging out of having the library as a social place. So then the second year, they decided, well, let's have it at Sterling, because from that first year, observing how Sterling operates, that it's the second home to the kids. They're there all the time. They had their built-in audience, and that's what had happened. So the second year, they had it at our branch, and all I can say, it was a very special moment. The kids were excited. They decorated the library with me before the event, and it was charming to see when it came time for them to step up and spell their word. They were so shy. They couldn't do it. Some actually decided not to participate, but they sat with us in the audience, and that was fine. The whole point was to make the children feel relaxed. They already were at their second home, so there wasn't an issue with that. And as Miss Worley said, they never forced anyone. It was to make it feel comfortable, have the kids come practice the words. And the spelling bee was the event, but it's the idea of the one-on-one contact with the students. And just observing that, and I'm going to morph into a little second thing, if that's all right. KPMG has been very generous with the Sterling branch. They provide gift certificates to a first book, so I can buy new books for the kids. Their employees, at least 4 times during the summer, come and read one-on-one with the kids. And it's that one-on-one that is so important. And this year, I've talked to the staff because we wanted to do like a building literacy confidence type thing. The children at first were reluctant. You could always tell they were a little hesitant because they thought they would have to read out loud to the KPMG person. It's like, no, they'll read to you, you'll read together, whatever, but it's that one-on-one. And then when kids did that the first time, it was the fear, the barrier was broken. So we're actually doing that this summer. We're doing a one-on-one reading, all the staff. We can track it in stacks to see like how many kids are reading, how many books they've read. And we're using techniques like, I have COVID brain mush, choral reading, when you have the kids read together and then they learn the rhythm, fluency, repetitive reading, phrasing, intonation. So that's just a little bit about what we're doing. But I was so delighted to see this article because it captured the spirit of Sterling. It captured the commitment of the people in the central neighborhood. And as we say, Sterling's a high energy branch and it can get a little noisy in there, but a quiet Sterling is an empty Sterling.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. So thank you for letting me come.
Thank
If you have any questions.
I'm trying to remember all through the history of me being on the board, I've always thought that you have a larger crowd in the summer, right?
We have a large crowd
All year
all
round.
the time. We're filled from after school until closing and Saturdays all day, but we have a consistent through the summer. It tapers off a little bit in June because kids might stay with a family member, have a
How
little
big is your
vacation.
staff for Sterling?
We're at full staff now,
How many people at your?
8,
Yeah.
8,
that's
which
good.
is great.
Yeah, it's good.
But we're kind of a little small space. We've gotten so used to
remember
having
previous
a
branch
smaller
managers
staff, but
were
it's
overwhelmed
wonderful.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Great to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
If you have an opportunity to go to the Sterling Library, which is one of my favorite places, and I bring Monica up because we have conversations all the time. You go to Sterling and it is controlled chaos, right? Right. There's just sometimes
Some in control.
somewhat in control, but it's exactly what we need to do, right? It is so much energy when the kids are in there and they're doing things and they're enjoying themselves and they have a place, right? And so I just wanted to bring you here because I admire what you do and the fact that you committed to doing that and you've been doing it for a long time. So thank you very much for all that you do, Monica.
Thank you.
Maybe some of those kids will be pages at age 14 like you were.
There you go.
That's the idea.
So as part of the president's.
Can I just
report-
make
Nope,
one more
nope,
announcement?
I don't want to do it yet.
One more. This is the last announcement, and this is a very sad announcement for us. Unfortunately, she's sick today. She couldn't be here. But Robin Wood, who's the head of the main library, has just received the job as the director of the Monmouth library system in New Jersey. So she will be leaving it. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I was hoping to be able to say something here because she'll be gone before our next board meeting.
Mhm.
But kudos to her. I had a chance to talk to her the other day, and we're going to be doing something for her next Thursday, right? From what's it, 2 to 4:30, right?
Send the info out to board members.
Yeah, we'll send that out to everybody to let you know, and you can stop by and say bye to her.
She has some New Jersey connections too, doesn't she?
Mhm.
She,
I don't know.
no?
I don't know if she did or not, or whatever. But she had come to us as a director previously before she
Right.
came to us, and that. So kudos to Robin. I wanted to make sure to let you all know and to let you know that there'll be a little going away party for her next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. First of all, I just wanted to thank everybody for everything that you're doing for the library. I was in Puerto Rico at the end of last month, and it is so sad. And it is sad. We do so much here. They don't have anything. They have little library stands and community like rec centers. Everything since Maria has been never replaced. So what we do here is a lot. So, and I thank everybody, but that also ties in, because this is so sad to me. I review scholarships for foundation. I'm not going to tell you the name and the one girl from Rwanda wrote in her scholarship letter that when she came here for Rwanda, they didn't have books there either. So when we keep hearing this, it's like a pattern that things that you hear that we have here and other people in other libraries don't even have a clue. And one of the things that I just took a quick picture, so I can't tell you what library, but it just touched my heart. And I remember I called the director and it said, the library, it saved me from the chaos eating up in my life. And this is from the change from her moving from Rwanda, losing her family and everything. But how she just put in the scholarship letter that this was her happy place. And everything that everybody here, because even just listening to all of you, you are all a part of what this young lady's talking about, making it a safe and happy place for her. And I think we're not just doing it for her, we're doing it for the community and the people here in Cleveland and even in other countries, just like they were talking about with the exhibit. A lot of places do not have this, what we have. Even in Cleveland with the library within a mile of each home, walking distance, that's something very special that we have here. And it's hard when you're even, when I'm in Argentina seeing different libraries, you're like, wow. Our kids, and I think when I talk about are we blasting this out, people need to know what we have, because a lot of people would not have a clue that this is what it is because they are not used to seeing what we have, even like what you said at Sterling. I went to school across the street at Jane Addams back in the day. So I know exactly where it's at. I've been there myself. So that was many years ago, but we do have a lot to offer. And I don't even think our patrons recognize or realize what they have here. And we do, we truly do have a gem. And I thank everyone again, because just seeing those two, and this young lady, she's like, this is still her happy place, and she will always be here as a home.
Mm.
So thank you, everyone. Mhm. So.
I would move to suspend the rules.
There you
so that
go.
we don't have to do suspend the rules to permit the finance and other committees to proceed today in lieu of having had separate meetings.
Second.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rashid?
Yes.
Ms. Fryer?
Yes.
Well, thank you. And now we're going to move to the Finance Committee report. Trustee Corrigan? And-
Yes,
Oh.
with permission, I would, unless there's some objection, I'd like to take Exhibit 5 out of order since we've had the people here from Land Studio, and I'd like to honor them by putting them first here if we can. Exhibit 5, resolution to engage Land Studio, Inc. to organize the 2024-2025 See Also program. Whereas the board receives a generous annual grant from the Cleveland Foundation for the Lockwood Thompson Memorial Fund. One of the goals of the grant is to support underwriting of expense and bringing to the library for purpose of one or more lectures, one or more individuals in the field of literature or the visual arts. Whereas the library desires to engage Land Studio, organize the 24-25 program, See Also to bring a contemporary public art installation to Brett Hall on a temporary basis to activate a beloved public space with artwork by an internationally known artist. Whereas effective January 23rd, 2024, Land Studio and Cleveland Public Library enter an agreement for Phase 1 services for See Also in the amount of $30,000 for such services as coordinating communications among the artists and managing the conceptual design phase. Whereas Land Studio has presented a budget for Phase 2 of 24-25 See Also temporary public art program at a cost not to exceed $292,500, which includes the cost of design, fabrication, installation, signage, artist fees, and removal, as well as management fee for Land Studio and cost for Brett Hall marketing and branding. Now therefore be it resolved, the executive director, CEO, or his designee is hereby authorized to enter an agreement between the Cleveland Public Library and Land Studio, Inc. for the 24-25 See Also temporary public art program in an amount not to exceed $292,500, which shall be charged to the Lockwood Thompson Memorial Fund account 228-91503-53710 professional services, which agreement shall be subject to review and approval by the Director of Legal Affairs. So moved.
Second.
Tiffany, love to hear about it.
Sure. So I have Erin Guido and Nancy Boylan from Land Studio here with us. As a reminder, and for anybody who is newer to the board, we just completed the 16th installation done through this funding source. It's the largest and most ambitious one we've had so far. And Land Studio has found a group called Friends with You. They are an art collective originally from Miami. One is a Cuban refugee, and they have now taken their practice over to Los Angeles. They do playful, interactive installations where they're really looking at relics and friendship and rituals and sort of what it means to have relationships among other people. And the exhibit that we have currently is very much a visual, all-encompassing experience and interaction. Friends with You is specifically doing something that is engaging, interactive, and designed to elicit emotional responses of the joyful variety for people. So what we're really hoping to accomplish this year and in the future is that while we love Rebecca's work and she's amazing, it's go see Rebecca's installation, go see this art project. We really want to evolve this to say, you have to see what's happening at the Cleveland Public Library. Every single year there's something there. And every year building that expectation that there's something worth making the trip downtown. We've had a lot of repeat visitors, hoping to do more of that. So Land is a nonprofit organization that specifically focuses on the installation of public art projects. They expertly manage the installation of the Rebecca Law piece and have worked with the property management team and other folks for a number of years to sort of pull these projects off for us. So
And this too would be in Brett Hall.
This will be in Brett Hall, and as a reminder, this is going to be straddling 24 going into summer to fall of 2025, which is also that major anniversary year for Main Library.
Nice.
Is there an estimated timeline of when it will be?
We are targeting a September opening for this.
So it'll how much time will there be between when Rebecca's?
So Rebecca's piece comes down in August, August 3rd, and we have been expecting about 4 to 6 weeks to do the transformation. We have to pull everything down, take the beams down, and then install the new piece.
But in time for the Library Foundation's event in October.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Good.
So this is a philosophical change for us. Historically, we had done the garden only for many years. And one of the things that comes with putting in Brett Hall is that you get to keep it longer and you get to track how many people come see it and a whole slew of other things. But we've decided to dedicate Brett Hall to this exhibit. And we've talked about it, and we want people to come and say, what's happening at the Brett, right? And kind of transition it and all of that and move it in that way. So that's kind of the mindset that we're moving with. And it means it's going to be something very different than historically we've done in the past.
And I always like to occasionally, particularly when we have newer board members, I know Lockwood Thompson was a judge, a community leader. His father was Amos Burke Thompson, the founder of Thompson Hine Flory. And he was a very early and enthusiastic supporter of Dennis Kucinich for mayor. And he was on this library board twice in the 50s, and then came on again when I was on the board. First came on the board. He came shortly thereafter. We always hoped, and Marilyn Mason had always hoped that we'd get some of his art collection. He had original Picassos and things like that in his home in Cleveland Heights. Unfortunately, I think Dartmouth ended up with all those things. He was a Dartmouth man, as they say. But in any event, I always like to think that we're keeping his spirit alive with how we do this. And I think this is a tremendous improvement to be able to take it to the next step. And I'm so glad we have partners like Land Studio to work with on this sort of thing. So not that the bar hasn't been raised and you're not going to have a challenge, but on the other hand, I think you're up to it. And I think this is a wonderful thing to do.
Thank you. Just one more thing. Lockwood Thompson chose the library to set up this endowment fund for because he felt that it was the most democratic place in the city for people to experience the arts. And as the director has a vision for this being the most inclusive arts and culture institution in the city of Cleveland, it's really amazing to have an exhibition space like Brett Hall, literally like 50 paces off of one of the most well-used bus lines in the entire city. So I think about that accessibility and what it means to put that like right when you enter our building, what it says to people who are coming inside. So thank you.
Thank
you. So it's been moved and seconded.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rashid?
Yes.
And Ms. Fryer?
Yes.
And now I move to my Joe Isuzu speed limit. For the rest of my-
Thank you, Guido.
A resolution to accept, Exhibit 1 is a resolution to accept gifts for the month of May, whereas the board received gifts of money, library service materials, technology resources, and miscellaneous gifts. Attached to this resolution is the gift report for May of 2024. Resolved, the gifts described in the gift report May of 24 be accepted upon the conditions connected to said gifts in accordance with section 3375.40K of the Ohio Revised Code. So moved, and obviously the big one is, just the library fund restricted grant.
Second.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rashid?
Yes.
And Ms. Fryer?
Yes.
Exhibit 2, a resolution to accept the State Library of Ohio funding for the Ohio Library for the Blind and Print Disabled. Whereas the library began its first organized service to visually disabled patrons as early as 1903, and whereas the library was designated a regional library for the blind for Northern Ohio counties under the Federal Pratt-Smooth Act of 1931 under the direction of the Library of Congress, and whereas the library has provided excellent library service to blind and print disabled residents needing specialized materials and equipment where individual libraries cannot provide those, whereas on July 1, 2000, the State Library of Ohio mandated the Cleveland Public Library to provide complete statewide services for blind and disabled residents who are eligible for the service and reside in any of the 88 Ohio counties. And whereas on May 16th, the State Library Board approved an agreement to pay the Cleveland Public Library for expenses for July 1, 2024 through June 2025 to continue to administer the state library services to the blind and print disabled residents in an amount not to exceed $1,508,194. Now therefore, be it resolved, the board accepts the State of Library of Ohio funding award up to $1,508,194 to be paid from the General State Revenue Fund, with up to $150,000 to be paid from fiscal year 2023 LSTA carryover funds, up to $84,000 to be paid from fiscal 2024 LSTA funds, and up to $1,274,194 to be paid from the Fund 5GB0 from the ALI 350-605, and be it further resolved, the President of the Board, Executive Director, CEO, or designee is authorized to enter an agreement with the State Library of Ohio for funding and to execute such other agreements and instruments as may be necessary or appropriate, including those in excess of $75,000, to effectuate the terms and conditions of this resolution, which shall be subject to the approval of the Library Director of Legal Affairs, and further resolved that the Board of Library Trustees expresses its appreciation of the State Library of Ohio. So moved.
Second.
And it's, everybody knows this is one of the most important things we do statewide. And if you travel through the state, as I do occasionally politically, and I'm in some obscure place, I invariably run into somebody who knows about us because we provide these services statewide. And multiple times we have been the national honoree of the Library of Congress for providing these services. So I just want to commend our staff again for the tremendous job they do to meet the needs of 88 counties worth of people who need our services.
Is this level funding to previous years in terms of the appropriation?
It is.
Okay.
Since 2012, we've been having the same dollar amount.
But otherwise, costs, I assume, go up for this administration. Is there growth?
Yeah,
in the
we've
future?
had, this has been one of those areas that has been more of a struggle because the other libraries have tried to kind of push us out of the funding, especially when funding was tight in the 2010 to 2012 range, whatever. There was a lot of pushback on it. And so they just kind of went with this number. We were taken out of the public library fund, and everyone has seemed to agree with it. And we have been okay in being able to find ways to do it. Now a lot of what's happening is technology based as compared to the way things were. So funding wise, we've been okay.
And one of the things, to give you an idea, when there was controversy, one of the state senators from suburban Columbus would say, well, the rent per square foot that the library charges for those services are so much more in Cleveland than would be if it was in Towson or some other smaller place. And so we were always fighting those sort of battles. And the current resolution we've come to has been significant.
Yeah.
And the big loss was that it's separate from the library, the public library fund. And so we're always at risk of somebody going after it. So far, we've been okay.
We've been okay.
And particularly when the legislature, and this is the thing to stay alert for, when the legislature starts seeing diminution in its receipts, which is what's happening right now, and they go looking to cut, they invariably try to do politically across the board cuts. Well, for something that's been level funding now for however many years, an across the board cut for the Library for the Blind and Print Disabled is a much more drastic cut than other things. And so we always have to stay alert to fight that sort of thing as well. So to keep you fully informed on that.
And the vote, Ms. Bunt,
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian,
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Rashid,
Yes.
and Ms. Fryer.
Yes.
Exhibit 3, a resolution regarding library insurance renewals, whereas the library's insurance policies for property, general liability, commercial auto, commercial crime, cyber, umbrella, excess library, and public officials and employment practices liability coverage will expire on August. On July 21, the board authorized the renewal of the insurance packages stated with resolution for 4 one-year renewal periods commencing August 1, 2023, provided the terms, conditions, and price remain comparable to the current programs and consistent with then current market conditions. Whereas in 2023, 2024, issued premiums for libraries insurance policies, excluding builder's risk, vehicle, and buildings that were removed and added, total of $593,905. And Marsh and McCohen and Company, the library's 2 insurance brokers, estimated the cost of renewing the library's policies for 1 year may cost approximately $714,379, an increase of 20% over current premiums, but however is consistent with industry-wide trends. Whereas Marsh and McGowan and Company are working with underwriters and may be seeking proposals from other carriers in order to locate policies with the most favorable terms of the library while continuing coverage without interruption. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the board authorized the executive director, COO, as designated to make final determination accepting insurance packages provided the best coverage, the lowest overall cost for a total annual premium of all policies not to exceed $714,379. And the coverage purchase will be presented for ratification by the board at their next regularly scheduled meeting. So moved.
Second.
And as you can see, insurance increases are all over the place. I personally believe the insurance industry is taking advantage of the times unfairly, but that's a political position that shouldn't be said at the board meeting. In any event, we'll take the vote though at this point.
Ms. Bunt,
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian,
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Rashid.
Yes.
Ms. Fryer.
Yes.
Exhibit 4 is a resolution to increase the contingency fund for the installation of the new chiller at Lakeshore Facilities, where on March 15, 2022, the board authorized the library to enter an agreement with John F. Gallagher Plumbing for installation of a new chiller at Cleveland Public Library Lakeshore Facility for a total contract price of $207,600 for the base bid and option bid portions, and also authorized a contingency fund for the project not to exceed $20,000 for a grand total of $760 for a grand total of $228,360. Whereas on March 16, 23, the board approved increasing the contingency fund by $27,921 to a total of $48,681 and a total project cost of $256,281 to cover the cost of modifications needed to the piping and valves for the chiller. Whereas in order to achieve full functionality and efficiency from the new chiller, the John F. Gallagher Company recommends the library install additional circulating pumps to the chiller, which were not included in the original scope of work. Whereas the proposed cost of this work is expected to exceed the contingency fund approved by the board in March 2023. The administration recommends this expanded scope of work and seeks authority for an increase of $25,000 to the contingency fund. Therefore, be it resolved, the board authorizes the executive director, COO, designate to increase the contingency fund for this project by $25,000 for a total amount not to exceed $73,681, thus bringing the total project to an amount not to exceed $281,281, with the expenditure being charged to building repair fund account 4014105-55300, construction/improvements. The library administration shall have the authority to approve the change orders from the contingency fund and shall report any change orders entered into at the next regular meeting of the board. The Board of Trustees. So moved.
Second.
And
Chad, I have
Lang
a
is
couple
here.
of questions.
Sure.
Go ahead, George.
No, go ahead.
2 things. What is it gonna be done and how long, because this has been going on.
It has, and this will be the last change order on the project, then we'll move to close the contract. The chiller itself is working fine. This is our second full cooling season at Memorial Nottingham Branch, the auditorium and the staff spaces that are under the air conditioning provided by this chiller. So the system works. We recognize we dropped a new chiller into an existing system. We didn't totally retrofit the entire HVAC for the building. And as we've gone along, we've seen these improvements that will make the overall system work. We could have done this as a separate contract, in which case we wouldn't even be before you
Yeah,
today.
that was my question.
But the contract was still open, and I feel it's very valuable to have the same contractor install the circulating pumps who did the valves and the chiller itself. So that's why I'm bringing it as a change order. We'll execute this change order, it'll be the end of the project, and then we'll close it out.
Remind me where Lakeshore is in our capital plan.
Group 2.
So how does this impact other, I mean, we're making this investment that's not insignificant,
Right.
and it's a group 2.
Correct. The plans for the Lakeshore Memorial Nottingham branch, particularly, are still not totally finalized. We knew in 2022 that we were still several years away. So we did think about that at the time, $250,000 investment in a facility that we might be out of in some years. On the other hand, it's been 2 years already. If we restarted design of Memorial Nottingham tomorrow, we'd be 3 years away from the new facility. So we are getting some useful life out of this modification.
And chillers on a week like this seem more than important.
Yeah.
Yeah, different than in February.
Thank you, John.
We can
Were
take the
you
vote.
trying to say something to Director Thomas?
No.
Ms. Bunce,
Yes.
Ms. Kerrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Chiller. Yes.
Ms. Rashid.
Yes.
And Ms. Frye.
Exhibit 6 is a resolution ratifying vehicle lease and authorizing additional vehicle lease and maintenance agreements, whereas on March 18th, the board authorized the library to enter into a lease and maintenance agreement with Enterprise FM Trust for 15 vehicles for a period of 60 months, and instructed the administration to present executed agreements for ratification as vehicles delivered and leases executed. Due to long lead times caused by supply chain issues stemming from global COVID-19 pandemic, the library has only been able to accept a delivery of new vehicles on a piecemeal basis. And so far, it has now received 14 of the 15 new vehicles that this board authorized in March of 21. Whereas in April 10, 24, the library took delivery of one new vehicle from Enterprise, a 2024 Chevrolet Malibu, as shown on the lease schedule attached to the resolution. On April 10th, on October 16th, the library placed an order with Enterprise FM Trust for 3 2024 Silverado pickup trucks, as shown in the attachment of this resolution, were expected to be delivered this summer. Whereas the library administration requests authority to execute lease and maintenance agreements for the new 2024 Silverado pickup trucks for a period of 60 months. Now therefore be resolved, the board of the library hereby ratifies and approves the lease with Enterprise FM Trust for the new vehicle shown in the attached resolution. Be it further resolved, the board authorized the executive director or CEO as designated or any other lease and maintenance agreement or agreements with Enterprise FM Trust for 3 new vehicles for the period of 60 months, with the expenditures being charged to the general fund account 12XX0053-53510 rent lease, where XX is the vehicle number involved. The executed agreements were presented for ratification by the Board of Trustees at their next regularly scheduled meeting. So moved.
Ms. Bunce,
Yes.
Mr. Kerrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan,
Yes,
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Rashid.
Yes.
and we've been doing this.
Yes.
We've been doing this piecemeal as each one has come along. Exhibit 7 is a resolution amending project budget for the new Martin Luther King Jr. branch, whereas on February 15th, the board approved the total project budget for construction of the new King Jr. branch, which budget was amended by this board on October 20, 2022, May 16, 2023, December 21, 2023, February 15, 2024, is shown in Exhibit A of this resolution, whereas the administration recommends project budget be increased by adding $200,000 to the furniture, fixtures, and equipment budget as shown in Exhibit A. Whereas the increase of the furniture, fixtures, and equipment budget is needed to cover the cost of the furniture required to fully outfit the new branches. Manufacturer costs have escalated significantly since this board first approved the project budget in February 22. Now therefore be it resolved, the board approves the total project budget for the new MLK branch project as set forth in Exhibit A to this resolution, which expenditures shall be charged to the Construction Tax Exempt Fund 402 and/or the Construction Taxable Fund 403. So moved.
Second.
I think Mr. Lang deserves
Mr. Lang.
an opportunity to explain himself.
Yeah, I think this is a case where we just flat out underestimated the cost of the furniture back in 2020 into 2022 when we were formalizing the project budget. So we just as an aside, we are on track for occupancy of the building by mid-fall for a January MLK Day opening. That means we're buying furniture over the summer. As you can see, the furniture budget itself, just the design, configuration, and purchase of the furniture is its own fairly complex project. And we realize now that with the board not meeting till September, we're looking for the authorization now to be able to enter into contract. So I'm looking essentially for a little bit of a comfort zone to be able to enter into contracts as those prices are available. But we know now that the prices will exceed, for the furniture we want, will exceed the budget that's currently approved. And so that's the request for the extra funds.
And it's mostly furniture, not other fixtures. I mean, in terms of this portion of the budget.
It is. Now, the audiovisual is another complex portion of the project, so we're working through that buyout as well. If approved, we do occasionally, working with Carrie, move money between accounts within the project. So if we don't need the $200,000 for furniture, we need a little more for audiovisual. We do have flexibility at staff level to do some of those transfers.
So equipment includes things like audio visual.
It does.
Yeah.
The other thing to point out is that at this point with this increase, we're still less than 7% over the original budget from 22.
We do, and as I like to point out, the $21.1 million, which would be the new top line, if this resolution is approved, doesn't account the $5.2 million proceeds of the sale. So while that is an accurate project cost of the total investment, the actual cash paid out is $5.2 million less in consideration of the land that's being transferred to the developer.
Yeah, it's a $16 million project is what the cost of the library is. So. And obviously because of Annisfeld Wolf and the other things that we're doing in Playhouse Square to make this sort of a stellar. But how out of proportion is that to the other new branches we've built?
In terms of this will actually bring us close to in line in $1 per square foot cost.
That's what I thought.
This project had originally envisioned a fairly extensive amount of custom millwork, so built furniture, special custom built for the library. Some of that's been retained in the project. I look forward to showing to everyone when we open. Some of that, since the construction costs have escalated, we moved into the furniture account. So we're buying more furniture off the shelf and less furniture custom built than we originally envisioned, which is why the budget has kind of become somewhat imbalanced.
But well, go ahead.
Ms. Bunce?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corbin?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rashid?
Yes.
And Ms. Fryer?
Yes.
And Exhibit A, a resolution to advance cash in the general fund to Lockwood Thompson Memorial Fund. Whereas the Ohio Revised Code 570514 provides for the transfer and advance of funds from the general fund to other funds, and whereas the libraries generally do not follow 5705 for budgetary compliance. So the library looks to the Auditor of State Bulletin 1997-003 to provide guidance pertaining to accounting treatment for interfund cash advance. And whereas the board receives a generous annual grant from the Cleveland Foundation for the Lockwood Thompson Memorial Fund, which amounts to $217,872 for calendar year 2024. Whereas at this month's board meeting, the board is considering engaging Land Studio Organized Phase 2 of C also for 24-2025 for a total amount not to exceed $292,500, which supports one of the goals of the grant, the underwriting of expense and bringing to the library for the purpose of one or more lectures, one or more individuals in the literature of the visual arts. Whereas at this time, the library has not received enough grant funds to support the full amount of the C also temporary public art program, whereas a cash advance from the library's general fund to the Lockwood Thompson Memorial Fund is a desirable method of resolving cash flow problems without the necessity of incurring additional interest expense for short-term loans. Now therefore it be resolved upon adoption of the resolution, authorized Executive Director CEO or designee into an agreement between the Cleveland Public Library and Land Studio for the 2024 C also temporary public art program. This board also authorizes the general fund advance cash in the amount of $150,000 to the Lockwood Thompson Memorial Fund for the same purposes for which supports the goal of the grant, for which repayment in equal amount is made once the grant funds for calendar year 2025 have been received. So moved.
Second.
Ms. Bunce?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian.
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Rashid.
Yes.
And Ms. Fryer.
Yes.
Exhibit 9 is a resolution authorizing an amendment to agreement with Applied Laser Technologies for print management services. Whereas on May 16, 2019, the board authorized the library to enter an agreement with Applied Laser Technologies, BSL Applied Laser Technologies LLC for print management services, including service and maintenance of the library's multifunction devices, desktop printers, and production equipment for an annual cost not to exceed $90,000. And whereas effective July 2019, the library entered an agreement with Applied Laser Technologies for print management services for an initial term of 3 years with an option to renew for 2 additional terms of 1 year each. This board ratified the agreement on September 26, 2019. Whereas on March 21, 24, this board authorized the library to enter a contract for the purchase of and maintenance to production printer equipment from Canon for use by the graphics department, thus removing the maintenance of production printer equipment from Applied Laser Technology scope. And whereas library's Chief Innovation and Technology Officer recommends that the library amend its agreement with Applied Laser Technologies to extend the term agreement for an additional year to cost not to exceed $60,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Library Trustees hereby authorizes the Executive Director CEO or his designee to enter an agreement to the library's agreement for print management services with Applied Laser Technologies at the rate set forth in Exhibit A to this resolution, which amount shall be charged to the machine maintenance object 53,350, which agreement shall be subject to the approval of Director of Legal Affairs. And is it
John Malcolm's here.
Mr. Malcolm, is there anything? Basically, what we're doing is because of the Canon investment, we're able to reduce our maintenance agreement with Applied Laser by $30,000.
That is correct.
Why invest in pay stations? I thought we were gonna phase those out. Is this pay stations for like the Perf Happy that we've had some vandalism related to at the campuses?
Correct. This is for the renewal. At this present time today, we still do have the pay stations, although they're not in all the facilities. We are working on a plan to look at options for going with other alternatives for the pay stations.
But pay stations would be part of this.
Currently,
agreement.
yes, because we still have them.
I mean, query, why do that if we would prefer? I know in some of the campuses where we've had the vandalism, we've just done away with the pay station.
Correct.
And I think that's good for accessibility for our patrons. And if it's a magnet, for people to do bad things.
Well, we have for the cash side, but we still need to maintain the credit card payment.
Okay, and the pay stations are
Yeah,
for that.
That's what they're used for.
I see.
And
They're
we
no
are in the
longer
process
accepting
of
cash.
issuing
Yeah.
I
our
see. Okay, that
credit
explains it.
Yeah, we are looking for a new solution by the end of the year that we'd like to, hopefully by September, be able to bring to the board with the new one. For right now, we need something currently.
Are you saying that we want to switch all of them to using a credit card instead of any cash? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying we're going to explore our options. I don't want to just say we're going to do A, B, or C without everyone's agreement. But we're going to explore the options because there are a lot of options that we do have now. And as the director said, by the end of the year, we'll have an option to bring forth.
There are a lot of different pieces to look at from this. If you were to go cashless, you work in a communities where, and so, but it's something that, there's a safety issue for our staff by having cash involved in the branches. So we're looking at, can we find a kind of hybrid solution that will be able to work through this?
And this is a good time to ask a general question. What's the largest amount of cash picked up at a branch at any given time? No, do we still, is it still the banker envelope, those leather and canvas bag things, or how does it done now?
No, but we haven't been collecting cash because
We're not collecting it.
The fees.
Okay.
But we go out with SPS officers in the morning before the branch opens.
Okay. I'm just curious as to, again, the proportion, the thieves have not gotten much, and the amount that we actually transfer is pretty small. It's not Brinks truck worthy, if you
No.
will.
It's not, but when you add it all up, as we have looked at how much we have given out in free copies, it does add up. We're at about
Sure.
$100,000 worth of free copies that we've been giving out over this period of time. So
Really?
Oh,
Oh, my.
you mean since the
System-wide.
break-ins, they've just been giving people free copies?
25 free prints, copies.
per person.
Right.
So when you add that up over 27 branches
So break-ins
over a
were
month,
in how many locations total?
total of the number of locations were about 11.
11 different spaces.
So, right, there's in trying to balance the safety of our staff with the accessibility for our community to be able to get what they need. You find yourself with a solution that is a challenging solution to do long term.
To quote the king as I am, it is a puzzlement.
It is a puzzlement. It is a puzzlement, but we're examining the idea of cashless because that probably is the best solution. But it has,
Of getting rid of cash in the branches at all? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
but it has ramifications for the community that we serve.
Sure.
And if you've been following, the Mayor Bibb's very proud of the new parking meters that are cashless. But then there's a community that's found it much tougher, and particularly if you go by either the Brown building over on Payne, where people have to come for domestic relations support payments or other welfare-connected services, or around the courts where people are just trying to pay a parking ticket and they can't find a meter that'll take their coin to be able to go in to pay the parking ticket. And so there's an issue there and Mayor Bibb's very proud of the new meters, which is great, but on the other hand, there is an issue we have to think about how to deal with there. So, and the same would go here, I suppose, so.
Thank you.
You have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rashid?
Yes.
Ms. Fryer?
Yes.
Exhibit 10 is a resolution to ratify agreement for purchase of electricity, whereas on May 16th, 2024, the board authorized Executive Director, CEO, or designator into a new agreement commencing August 2024 with an electricity supplier offered the best rate for a 24 to 16-month term for either a capacity pass-through bilateral or fixed all-in agreement. And whereas the library currently has a contract with Energy Harbor LLC for the supply of electricity through August 2024 at the rate of $4.120 per kilowatt hour. Sorry about it. It's not dollars. That's per kilowatt hour, right?
Yes.
Whereas market conditions have changed drastically since the library entered into the contract with Energy Harbor LLC on November 30, 2020, and factors such as global demand for natural gas, inflation, and wars in Russia and the Middle East have contributed to high energy prices. Whereas on June 12, 2024, the library entered into a capacity pass-through agreement with CPV Retail Energy LLP at the rate of 5.333 cents per kilowatt hour from August 2024 through August 2026. Whereas as a capacity pass-through agreement, the library charges for energy received, energy lost in transmission, and ancillary charges will remain the same throughout the term of the agreement and comprise the 5.333 cents per kilowatt hour rate. But the capacity charge, which is currently 0.12 cents per kilowatt hour and is subject to annual increase or decrease, is not included in the 5.333 cents per kilowatt hour rate and will be charged as a separate line item. Now therefore be it resolved, the board hereby ratifies the agreement entered into by the library on June 12, 2024 with CPV Retail Energy LP for electricity at the current rate of 5.333 cents per kilowatt hour for a 24-month term from August 2024 through August 2026. So moved.
Second.
And I suppose the decision, the big decision was decide to go to the shorter period of time thinking things will improve.
Yes, that's part of it. we felt that there's too much volatility right now to do a longer term than 24 months, especially with the 0.212 cent per kilowatt hour charge for capacity. That number changes by auction through really what's best described as an arcane process. And it has changed significantly over the last 5 years. And with any method that we chose for any period of time, we would be paying that, but we would like to take a look in 24 months as that price may go down. And if things globally stabilize, we may get closer to the pricing that we've seen in years past.
How's that pricing looking like now, the pricing that we're trying to approve today?
So the pricing that we're trying to approve today is about 25% higher than what it was in November of 2021. I'm going to make sure that was November of 21. That was, as it's been explained to us, a very different market at the time, just still really within the throes of COVID-19. And since that time period, our energy consultants have advised us that there have been a number of changes in addition to global issues just within the state of Ohio with new construction of Intel and other data centers in central Ohio, which are now going to be some of the largest energy consumers in the state. And now that all of our energy, or the vast majority of our energy, is generated with natural gas and not coal, that just drives the prices up for users like us.
Ancillary to this, but related as we continue with our capital plan, the more we can begin to integrate solar. We own a lot of buildings, a lot of land in our system, and I think it is an appropriate public use to contemplate solar panels and how this can then decrease our energy costs longer term and be an example for, other major groups in Cleveland to see us as an example.
And take the vote.
Ms. Buntz?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rashid?
Yes.
And Ms. Fryer?
Yes.
Exhibit 11 is a regular housekeeping. It's the Sixth Amendment to the year 2024 appropriation, whereas the code section 5705.40 provides for an amendment of appropriation measure when necessary. It's now deemed necessary to amend the 2024 appropriation measure, which complies with the amended official certificate of estimated resources requested from the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission on June 11, 2024. And whereas the aggregate of all appropriation classifications does not exceed the total amount submitted to the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission, now therefore be resolved that the sums indicated on the attached Sixth Amendment to your 2024 appropriation schedule be approved. So moved.
Second.
And Carrie, is there some specific thing that's here that we should, or is it just the grant?
There's not a specific thing. We are appropriating the $150,000 for the cash advance into the Lockwood Thompson Fund. We're also appropriating a small grant that we got for from Studio Art for an arts intern in the library fund. And then we are appropriating funds and moving some funds around between the tax exempt and the taxable fund, and then appropriating for the MLK project budget increase of $200,000 and the Lakeshore Chiller of $25,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Buntz?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rashid?
Yes.
And Ms. Fryer?
Yes.
The balance of the Finance Committee report is the Fiscal Officer's Report, Report A, Report on Investments, Report B, Report on Conference and Travel Expenditures, Report C, Report D, the Report on all vendor expenditures, Report E, the Report on expenditures made from the owner's contingency funds for the Huff, Jefferson, West Park, Woodland, Central Distribution Facility, Lorraine, Eastman, MLK Junior, Brooklyn, Rockport, and Glenville branches. And Report F, a report on expenditures made from the owner's contingency fund for the high-density shelving project. Those do not need to be voted in order. That concludes Finance Committee. Thank you for your patience, everybody.
Thank you, Trustee Corrigan. We're now going to move into the Human Resource Committee report. Trustee Shakarian, please.
I present Exhibit 12, our regular employment report to the Board of new hires, transfers, resignations, terminations, retirements, and promotions. Of note, the retirement of Shannon Muhammad, we actually did a citation at our last meeting. May I entertain a motion?
Second,
Ms. Bunce,
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian,
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan,
yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Rashid,
Yes.
and Ms. Fryer.
Yes.
Thank you, trustee Shakarian. We're now going to move into the community service report. Trustee Fryer, please.
No problem. Exhibit 13 is an amendment to fines and fee schedule. That's needed from time to time to provide greater clarity and definition to library operations and services. And whereas the current fines and fees schedule needs to be revised in order to update the replacement fee for Wi-Fi hotspots, which will be changing from $75 to $90. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Library Trustees approves the revised fines and fee schedule as attached to be effective July 1st, 2024. So moved.
Second. And I'm just curious, how many are we losing?
How many what?
Not even just losing, but how much then do you collect on what is lost? I'm
Right.
curious.
I was
Yeah.
wondering how many were stolen with the
So
hotspots?
our current hotspots are down significantly. We have about 300 total that are available for circulation. I might be stretching 300. We should be at least 1,000. The problem is that once they're loaned out and they're deactivated, we don't get the hardware back. We're not getting the actual hotspot device back from patrons. And as you know, the cost has gone up a little bit, but still at $90, we might be breaking even on the hardware
So are
itself.
you saying that we're fining people $90 who
Who don't
didn't
return the,
them?
correct.
But are you collecting at all?
That's what I wondered.
Very, very little to none. Yeah.
And this may be like.
And the actual device itself.
And this may be my ignorance on like how the device works, but can people turn it off to reuse the hotspot for something else, or it's not a reusable device? So if
It's
say
not.
someone kept it or lost it, or someone in that household or someone they know took it from them, like they can't
Correct.
reuse it in any other way.
No, after the 3 weeks, it is taken out of the system, so it no longer is receiving a signal.
Have you heard any feedback from patrons who say they've lost it, or like what, have you heard any potential reasons why they're not being returned, or what some examples are?
I have not directly, but some have said they've lost a device, it was stolen, it was taken, it was broken. Those are the general feedback that I've received. And my Tech Central.
Do we do follow-up, like
Have you heard
call them or
anything
something?
on the
Yeah, they're
hotspot?
they're sent notices because they're checked out items. So they're
Okay.
checked out just like a book. When you
That
get
is correct.
a notice, you'll get a notice saying this is being held for you. So generally what it is folks would like to just hold on to it, right? And you know, they have this, you know, fine, whatever, and they could just bring it back in. But I think there's always this sense that somehow it's going to come back on.
Right.
Right? Unlike a book where you get it and you know you have to bring it back and there's no fines. We don't charge fines. So they're not being charged anything if they bring it back. And that's why it's so frustrating to not get it back. But they know they won't get it back because we have a long list of people waiting for them. And so they hold on to the device and just forget about it. So again, as we look at how we bring our credit card usage into play in other places, they use not only we have to use a library card, but you have to use a credit card as down payment to be able to get access to this. It's again a challenge though, because that may limit the number of people who would be able to get access.
So if you send a notice once and then if you don't get it back within 2 or 3 weeks, you send another one saying either you bring the device back, you pay $90, or we could give them options, like they would pay less of a fine if they bring the.
Well, we don't
Right,
charge
if
fines
they-
There's not gonna be
We
no
just don't
fine.
There's-
get the devices back.
Yeah, they just won't bring the devices back. And it's just a,
Because they think that.
eventually they're going to find a way to be able to get it
To
back
work.
on, right?
It's not-
And I think,
Never gonna work.
right, yeah, but it's, for the folks who are
What's the
just.
salvage value of the item? Is there a place they can take it and get $12 for, or $18 or something?
Not
like
that I have not heard of a salvage value for those, because the devices themselves are not with any rare earth or any
Right.
type of high value properties. The standard chip boards, and has to be connected and has to be able to send and receive a signal. It's pretty
Pretty
straightforward.
simple, so.
One of the other issues that I know we've run into is that a lot of them now are so old, so we are replenishing the new models of the hotspots. But yeah, even if tomorrow we received all the ones from the past years back, half of those will be outdated anyway.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of like a orientation process when someone is signing up to rent it, that like some of these misconceptions about the hotspot are discussed with the patron? Like, not obviously, you don't want any patron to feel that you're assuming that XYZ may happen, or that they may be inclined to do such an act, but maybe just have a broad scale. Is some of these things mentioned when they're renting it, or no?
No, it's not anything beyond as if someone would come and take out another resource, a book, DVD.
Maybe there
They
should be
do.
some kind of protocol to explain your obligations when you take one or something.
Even like a quarter page or a half a page to accompany this device and maybe other items that require a little bit of education or myth busting might be helpful. And if you do the quarter page, it's
Well,
just.
There was a requirement that we had to complete a one-page form because of the funding that we received for the initial batch of hotspots, but.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there actually is a Wi-Fi, an agreement form that you have to fill out.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Can you explain what it says, or?
You're just agreeing to check it out and bring it back.
return it.
Is it kind of look like a one pager? Because I often wonder too, and this is something I honestly do myself. I oftentimes am just listening to what someone's telling me is on the paper. I don't personally read it myself. So I wonder if I know it would be an extra thing to create like a little half sheet, but sometimes when it's less words on a paper, they might be more inclined to skim it through and kind of capture what the guidance may be.
And it does explain this device will automatically stop working after a certain period, right?
I don't know
I
if
mean, do they know that they can never activate it again?
I can't remember if that is explicitly stated. The form was primarily because of the requirements from the funding that we received for the hotspots.
Right.
And do they get a copy of the form or no?
No,
See, I'm wondering if it went with them, if that would help. Or, I can't remember how big hotspots are, I don't really use them, but a sticker or something on them to clarify that.
there are.
There's
Already,
stickers on the
Yeah,
case.
there's
says, like,
stickers on
remind
it, property of.
Got it.
And it has the replacement prices on it.
Yeah, so here's what I would like us to do. We're gonna come back and evaluate the process, taking into consideration the direction that the board has given us, and work on any new format we need to do to move forward with it, whether it's a shorter discussion or it's an actual conversation with the individual, and bring this back to the board in September.
Definitely. I can say we have, to be honest, whiteboarded out number of options for this. Some are, as director said, may eliminate people if you're collecting your credit card, and hey, if you don't return it, it's gonna get charged, but so we have laid out a few options. but these are good too.
I just had one last, do we know, or do you know off of just the top of, how long the wait list is at the moment?
3 weeks. It's in that 3-week time frame.
And we do have 1,500 more coming.
Correct.
Yeah,
We
so,
want to get them back.
yeah, we would like, well, the board has given direction before we give out any of that 1,500 that we can explain the process we're going to use, and then we'll keep track of that and bring that how it is. I think this is one of those areas that I've seen at libraries across the country. It's the same issue. Explaining whatever. For some reason, there's this sense that with this ability to get the internet, I do not want to give this back. Right? I have this opportunity to get free internet, and I do not want to give this back. Except for those who might come and use it as I'm going on a trip. I'd be able to use it with my family or whatever. They generally come back, and then because they have internet here. But if they don't have it at all, then folks don't want to give it back. They think somehow it's magically going to start working again.
Thank you.
And the vote? Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rashid?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes. Report G is a monthly activity report, and as Trustee Parker always shares, it's always helpful to see the data laid out this way. Anything of note from staff before we move on to the reports?
No, just a thank you to Nancy she put in a couple of new graphs that I noticed.
I like the word cloud.
Yeah, so appreciate that.
Excellent. Turned over to staff for the building status update, the advocacy task force update, the foundation update, and then the DEI update.
I'll make this quick, but it is going to be a few months since I have a chance to talk to you again. So I thought I'd just talk about a few things that are coming up. First one is the Rockport opening. Very pleased to be reopening Rockport branch this Saturday, 22nd of June at noon. I do want to point out that this is a 2-phase project. So we have not yet demolished the old building. That will come later this summer, or done all the site improvements. So the building, it will be open. It looks great. Furniture's in, staff's moving, collections are being installed. But the site improvements will wait for the second phase of the project over the summer. I wanted to say thanks to Ms. Parks and the Public Services team. When we started these projects 2 years ago, we were taking a good 2 months to get through the machinations of closing a building, reopening a building. It was a really tight 2 weeks that we closed this building to the community. So to be able to get the staff over, the collections over, the technology over, it's been a real team effort, and very happy we were able to do that. We're in the middle of what will hopefully end up being the hottest week of the year, which means the most stress on our cooling plant, but so far so good. Our maintenance mechanics are working to keep everybody cool and comfortable. The Eastman Garden, I just wanted to be upfront and acknowledge it's behind where we would like it to be this summer. We've had a little slow getting off the ground with our landscape contractor for the beds maintenance and the plants and shrubs removal. And then on top of that, the fountain is leaking, not the plumbing, the actual structure of the fountain is leaking. We had to consult with Myolin's studio before we could effect those repairs. That's coming up, so I'm looking forward to energizing the fountain and having the landscape improvements done within the next month. The Huff Amphitheater, heard from Ops about the Huff campus block party happening in early August. That will also be a small ribbon cutting for the new amphitheater, which is the first of the exterior enhancement projects we're able to do, thanks to Dr. Shanice and the Development Office for their energy in securing the Bruning grant, $300,000, which has enabled us to do the Huff Amphitheater. Look forward to showing that off.
So did they plant wildflowers in the whole bioswale or?
It's the bioswale was actually already complete, so that was in the base contract. The
I have to go over there.
Yeah, we've kind of a really like an outdoor retaining wall amphitheater plus a stage that goes out over the bioswale. So it's pretty cool.
I have to go see that. I have to August, you said.
It's the 2nd or the 6th. I forget the date of the block party. 6th.
I have it right here. It's August 2nd.
Thank you. And then finally, an update on some of the non-FMP capital improvements that we're working on. Some of these, the board has approved the selections of architects, engineers. We'll be bringing bids to board depending on the values as we go through bid openings. The LSW roof is under design. The LSW lower level patron restrooms are under design. The staff break area and catering prep kitchen is in construction and on schedule to be completed by August, possibly around Labor Day. We're receiving bids for repaving of Jefferson and West Park parking lots. We are working on the design of the Tech Central 2.0 refresh, and then we're in early design for the fire panel replacements for the LSW and main complex. So as those designs are completed and we go to bids, we'll be bringing those results to board for approval to enter into contracts.
Thank you.
There's a lot of stuff happening there.
A lot,
A
all
lot of stuff.
over.
Just say one last thing. That there's construction happening around our Martin Luther King Library, if anybody has seen that. And staff can't get anywhere close to there, the park, whatever. And that means our patrons can't get in there as well. So we may be closing the branch down through the end of the week. The work the work that's being done there is being done by the city. It's not related to any of the construction that we're doing. So we don't have any control over it, and no one can get in around that building. Staff would have to park 3 blocks away to be able to get to work. And that means no one's coming in as far as patrons go. So.
Could you,
Just a
talk
question I have
about-
is there still a cooling center issue for, in other words, is that important to anybody in the neighborhood, a place to come
For cooling,
given the
yeah.
heat?
I think the city did put out some places as
The
well.
city has a number of places.
Mhm.
We'll examine that to see if that would be an area, but even then, no one would be able to get there. Yeah, there's just no way to get there.
I believe the city uses the rec centers
Yeah.
as their main cooling.
Yes.
Could you talk about the parking right out front too? So just so that everybody knows that they're shutting this down for Superman.
Yeah, Tana, what's the length of time that they reached out to us and said, as you can see, they're changing up the signage on our building to turn this into the Metropolis Public Library, right? So, which is really pretty cool.
So Warner Brothers reached out to us. They are doing some filming on Superior. They were shutting down the street. They also asked to be able to cover up some of our signage. So because of the set dressing and cover some of the sculptures that we have. So there'll be, I think they're setting up today, and the actual filming is, I think, on the 24th and the 25th. We've been in close contact with a lot of staff to make sure that patrons can still come in and out through the Eastman Reading Garden. And there will be PAs from the production company also helping to usher people in and out. And the takes will only be about 3 or 4 minutes at a time, where they might not be able to enter the building.
Thank you.
That's neat.
I'm finding a way in this movie. So I'm going to be walking around. So.
All right, Superman.
I'll be quick. As far as the advocacy report, I just want to bring 2 items the director wanted me to bring to your attention. The first one is around HB 6/2022. It prohibits public libraries from displaying materials that are deemed harmful to juveniles. And if you are deemed in doing so, there is financial repercussions. So we're just watching that bill, and OLC is watching it as well. So just as an FYI. The other item is my colleague Jacqueline Lamb and I are working with the city of Cleveland. If you recall, a few weeks ago, we hosted the governor around the science of reading. And so one of the call to actions from that convening was, what are we doing as a local community to heighten awareness around the science of reading from a community perspective? And so they'll be hosting a literacy summit that we'll be a part of with practitioners. And then the next day after that will be a back to school fair that the city of Cleveland is doing in partnership with us and other partners. As it relates to the foundation report, Director Thomas and I and Shirley from my team went to the International Public Library Fundraising Conference in DC. It was really good. And in essence, there are a myriad of library fundraisers across the country who are raising money beyond public funding for the things that we're doing. You see, we're doing a lot, right? And so it started in Seattle. And if you know of Library Giving Day, this is a byproduct of that work. The conference is also a byproduct of that work. And then the Library Support Network is a convening of all of these folks online where we are exchanging best practices. And the Library Support Network was recently awarded a grant from the Mellon Foundation to begin to develop a shared case for funding public libraries. And so Director Thomas and I went to that conference. It was a myriad of great opportunities, one of which I'd like to highlight. My colleague Tana referenced storytelling and the power of storytelling as it relates to philanthropic investments. And so that's an area that we would like to further explore to generate more revenue. Also a highlight for corporate partners, volunteerism is a key component of that. Before they give their dollars, they like to engage their employees. And so I would love to begin to launch a volunteer program for corporate engagement. And anything else, Director, you want to highlight?
No, I think the comments always, as we talk to folks, is why is there no national branding message for libraries? Why isn't there a support your libraries and having funding that's coming down from national, say a Sherwin-Williams nationally, that would be found into cities across the country. And that's because every library is ultra local. And so this is an attempt to see how we can turn what is an ultra local into more of a national message.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a comment with what you said. I think also around that, as you're developing that idea and that model, and I'm sure you're already familiar, I think there's also a lot of misconceptions around how libraries are funded. So I think a lot of people have just this broad umbrella idea that libraries are all federally funded and that's mainly all where they get their money, or the idea that they could collect money from all the late fees and such. So I think while this is kind of being drafted or thought about for all of Cleveland Public Libraries, is how do you also include that messaging about how libraries are really funded? While we know that there's a lot of intricacies in that, how can you describe to the general public that their support is needed because the misconceptions they have are actually not true?
Yeah, no, I mean, lots of people think that libraries are just housed and worked by volunteers, that people don't actually get paid to work here. So, I mean, there's a lot of messages that we need to send out nationally because that has a great effect.
But also, we should be especially conscious that this year, the property tax bills are going to come at a very tough time politically. And so there's going to be, we need to be prepared to talk about the fact that our 2/3 of our money is separately voted by the people. We've had 70% approval. We need to be able to respond because there's going to be a lot of nasty stuff said after the property taxes come out, because the reevaluation has hit people and they're already misconstrued as to whether the inflation is horrible or not. And the perception of things is more important than the reality to too many people. So we've got to make sure that libraries get perceived correctly.
That's right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This month, I'm proud to report that our Rainbow Readers, along with many other CPL staff, participated on Saturday, June 1st in the Pride Parade. Our tagline was Read with Pride, and we had over 30 participants. This past Saturday, June 5th at Mall C, our Black ERG participated in this year's Freedom Fest. We had 3 local authors also come and support CPL and do a book signing. We had Kathy Howard Primes. She is the author of Walking in Ava's Shoes. We had Jermil Carr. He is the author of High Five Winning. And we had Sharday Webb, who is the author of I See Me in the ABCs. So they were a big hit. This year, our Black ERG is also a proud sponsor of the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland. If you're not familiar with this organization, they are an organization that is here to support and secure financial dollars for other agencies serving the Black community throughout Greater Cleveland. As a sponsor, we have several members of BERG attending tomorrow's annual meeting, which will also be a celebration of Juneteenth at the Trust Center. So we're excited about their attendance and we're looking forward to feedback from that event. Also on Saturday, June 30th, I will be presenting at the ALA conference. I will be one of 4 presenters at this conference presenting on a topic entitled Supporting Libraries and Library Workers and Employees with Employee Resource Groups. Dr. Joe M. Phillips of Stark County District Library, Shelby Driver, the Technical Services Librarian at Stark County, Gil Korintansky, the Executive Director at Stowe Munroe Falls, and Ann Malthaner from Marketing and Public Relations of Stowe Munroe Falls Public Library will also be presenting with me as well. And last but not least, our Rainbow Readers will also be supporting ops at the pop-up workshop at the West Side Market.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That concludes the community services report.
Thank you, Trustee Fryer. At this time, there's no old or new business. We do have a couple of public comments. I'm going to read a couple that were sent in electronically, and then we have a gentleman here that came to visit me. First of all, we got, it doesn't say who it's from. It's Robert Allen. And it says his comment was, please see above. He's a community activist, lifelong native of Cleveland and collaborator with respect to community outreach and improving the health of our Black communities with Dr. Charles Modlin. He has a book published entitled, Yes, You Can Succeed. It isn't difficult to do it if you know how to do it. I know there is an author series at CPL. I'd like to have Dr. Modlin invited to present his book. And he prevent his contact info.
Yeah, so it's funny because we were reaching out to Dr. Modlin just out of, on a separate place. I had been talking to him about doing the book. So he would very timely comment.
Perfect. And then the other one came from a young person named Cassie. And it said, I wanted to give a shout out to the employees of the Makerspace. I was there recently to print some vinyl posters for a large vintage market at Ingenuity Labs, where it had over 1,000 attendees and over 30 vendors. And the support and help they received was very much appreciated. Allison was so knowledgeable, patient, and kind. I love that this resource is available, so accessible to us. I want to recognize the great work done by the members of CPL. Thank you again. And last but not least, Stephen's here. Hi, Stephen, come on up.
Before I start, there was this thing about the archive. Does that mean that I've been to the archive, it's always had free admission or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard something about something, they wanted to charge admission for some kind of festival or something like that.
Not here. We don't charge folks.
Okay, and also, you're talking about cashless. I hope there's be some place where you can use cash to buy maybe a cash card or something like that too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not the biggest fan of credit cards myself. Maybe just you can have I could buy a cash card or something.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go to me. Okay. Yeah, I know. It's right at the downtown library. Currently, there are no public phones in use. The 2 pay phones are down right now. So maybe that the Fleet branch has a public courtesy phone down there for local calls. So if those pay phones downtown can't be fixed, maybe you can have a free courtesy phone, just like at the Fleet branch of what we have. And also, again, on those restroom dryers where I'm saying the accelerator dryer is too loud for your hearing and stuff. It's a good idea for it to be in a single occupant restroom where the doors are closed and the die-hard user of that dryer can keep it to themselves. But unfortunately, the lower level restrooms are going the opposite right now. Security has those doors wide open all day long. So it's a disaster. You could hear everything from the women's. The doors are wide open. Any restroom where the doors are open all day should not have that dryer. Those dryers should only be there for a single occupant, and that the person can use it privately. It's all part of our society where everybody wants noise and violence. They like to hear the sound of cannons bursting. People don't appreciate peace and quiet society anymore. This violence is catching up with us. We got these headlines about festivals are getting violent. we need to believe in peace and quiet again, and make sure we have some restrooms where I don't have to hear the dryer and the single occupant dryer. In a single occupant restroom, the dryer only comes on if you want it to, and the doors should not be open all day for those loud restrooms. We need a peace and quiet society. Just remember that Andy Griffith show, that sweet little town of Mayberry is going to help save the world.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much. Nice seeing you again. At this time, there is no other public comments. At this time, I move to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of discussing the sale and purchase of real property.
So moved.
Ms. Butts?
Yes.
Ms. Shakarian?
Yes.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Rasheed?
Yes.
And Ms. Frank?
Thank you.
Jackie?